right, so you want to land a job as a regional development policy officer?
It's a hot field right now.
Definitely hot.
A lot of people wanting to make a difference.
Absolutely, and that's why we're diving into these RoleCatcher interview questions today.
Gotta be prepared to tackle these.
Yeah, because question one, it looks simple, but what motivated you to apply for this role?
Yeah, that's a classic.
It feels like a trap.
It is a bit of a trap.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just say like, oh, I want to make a difference.
Right.
They want more.
They want to see the thinking behind it.
Exactly. They want to see that you've actually like read the career guide.
Yes.
You understand the challenges, like the high responsibility, navigating the politics of it all.
Yeah, because it's not all...
It's not all rainbows and sunshine.
No. It's a lot of, like, wrangling stakeholders and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And that actually gets a question, too.
Oh, does it? Okay.
What experience do you have working with regional governments or stakeholders?
So that's where they're going with that.
Exactly.
No.
And this is where you really got to showcase those soft skills.
Right, because I don't think a lot of people coming right out of school are going to have experience with, like, negotiating a trade agreement between, you know,
right.
Germany and France or something.
Exactly. And that's where you have to get creative and think, okay, what are those transferable skills? Did you lead a team project? Did you, work on a volunteer thing where you had to wrangle different personalities?
Oh, yeah, those stories.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point, because stories will make you so much more memorable than just listing off, like, I'm good at communication.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really help.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, because it can actually analyze the job description and pick out those key words.
Right.
So if they're emphasizing community engagement, it'll highlight experiences from your past, even if it wasn't in like a formal regional development role.
That's like having a little assistant going through your brain and being like, this. Talk about this.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so question 3. How do you stay up to date on trends? I feel very called out right now.
Right. It's like they're in our heads.
Right.
But it makes sense, right?
It does.
This field is constantly changing.
Yeah.
What you knew 5 years ago might be totally irrelevant now.
So true.
So you got to show them that you're a lifelong learner.
Okay, so how do we do that? Like, should I just be like, oh yeah, I read the Journal of Regional Science every night with my chamomile tea?
I mean, you could try that.
Okay.
But it's better to be a little more specific, right? Pick a few publications that genuinely interest you. Mention a recent article that caught your eye. Show them you're not just name dropping.
Don't just name drop. Okay, be genuine about it.
Be genuine, exactly.
Good advice. Good advice. All right, question 4. This one feels big. How do you ensure regional policies match national, international ones?
Yeah, this one's all about that multi-level governance concept.
Which basically means...
Basically, it means understanding that all these different levels, from like global trade agreements down to your local zoning laws,
right,
they all impact each other.
It's all connected.
Exactly. It's like a web. It is a web, and they want to know that you can see those connections,
right,
that you're not just hyper-focused on your little piece of the puzzle.
Right. So how do we even begin to prepare for that? Because it feels huge.
Research is key. Look at the region where you're applying. Are there any major national policies impacting them? International agreements?
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI could be helpful, right? To kind of narrow down that research.
Exactly. It can tell you, okay, based on this job description, these are the key policies you need to be aware of.
It's like having a cheat sheet for understanding the world.
Right. It takes some of the guesswork out of it.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Question 5. This one feels very much at the heart of the role, I think. How do you approach stakeholder engagement and communication?
So important.
Because you could have the most brilliant policy idea in the world.
It doesn't matter.
But if you can't get people on board,
nobody's going to implement it.
It's dead in the water.
Exactly. So you got to show them that you can handle those typical interactions we talked about.
Right. The community leaders, the government officials.
The business owners, everybody.
Yeah. Everyone's got a stake in this.
And they all have different priorities.
Oh, for sure.
So you got to be able to speak their language, find that common ground.
So it's like being a translator almost.
It is.
Between all these different worlds.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to think about it. Okay, question 6. This one I'm going to need some help with because I'm already feeling stressed just hearing it. How do you balance competing priorities and manage multiple projects?
Time management is key in this field. There's always a lot going on. You've got deadlines, you've got stakeholders breathing down your neck.
So how do you stay organized?
I'm a big fan of lists.
Lists, okay.
Color-coded if possible.
I like it.
But whatever works for you, right? Some people are more digital, some people are more pen and paper.
Right. Find your system.
Exactly. But be prepared to talk about it in the interview.
Okay.
They want to know you have a system.
They don't want to hear, I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants and hope for the best.
Not the best approach.
No, no, no. All right, all right, so we're back digging deeper into these RoleCatcher questions. In this next one, uh, it's a little bit intimidating. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of your work?
Yeah, it's not enough to just like have good intentions in this field, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to measure your impact.
Right, prove that you're actually making a difference.
Exactly, because that's what's going to convince those funders to keep supporting your projects.
So how do we even begin to measure something as complex as like regional development?
Well, it's a mix of quantitative and qualitative data,
Yeah.
right? The career guide talks about using economic indicators.
Right, like job growth, investment.
Exactly, but also things like infrastructure improvements.
Oh yeah, like how much did that new bridge actually reduce traffic congestion?
Exactly. And don't forget about the community feedback aspect.
Oh right, because numbers don't tell the whole story.
Exactly. You could have a project that looks great on paper.
But if the community hates it,
It's not a success.
so how do you gather that kind of feedback? Like, are we talking surveys, town hall meetings?
All of the above. Surveys are great for getting a broad sense of things, but you also want to have those face-to-face conversations.
So you can really understand the nuances.
Exactly. And this is something you can highlight in the interview.
Oh, like tell a story about a time when you gathered community feedback and it changed your approach.
Exactly. Because it shows you're not just married to the data, you're actually listening to the people your work impacts.
Okay, I'm liking this approach. So question 8. What role do you believe technology plays in regional development? Is this where I pretend to be a tech wizard? Because I got to be honest, I'm more comfortable with a spreadsheet than I am with, like, coding an app.
Laughs.
Or-
Well, you don't need to be a coding whiz, but it's definitely true that technology is transforming this field.
Okay, good to know.
Think about all the data we have access to now. Geographic information systems, economic modeling software.
It's like having a superpower. You can see patterns and trends that would have been invisible before.
Exactly, and that's what you want to convey in your answer.
Show them that I'm tech savvy.
Not necessarily tech savvy, but tech aware.
Okay, subtle difference.
It's about understanding how technology can be a tool for better policymaking.
So, for example,
Well, maybe you use data visualization software to create a compelling presentation for stakeholders.
instead of just drowning them in numbers.
Exactly. Or maybe you used online collaboration tools to get community input on a project.
Oh, that's a good one. Because it shows you're using technology to be more inclusive.
Exactly. So it's not just about knowing how to code, it's about understanding how technology can help you achieve your goals as a regional development professional.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. Now, question 9. This one feels a bit like looking into a crystal ball. What are some emerging trends or challenges shaping the field of regional development in the coming years?
Yeah, they want to see that you're thinking long term, that you're aware of the bigger forces at play.
So what are some of those big forces? Give me the cheat sheet version.
Well, the career guide mentions things like climate change,
Of course, that's a big one.
globalization, technological advancements.
Right, because what happens in one corner of the world can ripple out and affect everything.
Exactly. So you want to be able to talk about these trends in a way that's relevant to the specific role you're interviewing for.
So if I'm applying for a job in a coastal community, I might talk about the challenges of sea level rise.
Exactly. Or if you're applying for a job in a rural area, you might talk about the challenges of brain drain and how to create new economic opportunities.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. It's about connecting those big picture trends to the local context.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get specific.
Like mention a particular policy solution that you're excited about.
Exactly, because that shows you're not just aware of the challenges, you're also thinking about solutions.
Okay, I love that. Now, question 10 brings us back down to earth a bit. Tell us about a time you had to work effectively as part of a team. Because let's face it, regional development is not a solo sport.
Definitely not. You're going to be working with a lot of different people, often with very different priorities.
So how do you navigate that? Especially when those priorities clash.
Well, that's where those soft skills come in handy again.
Communication, collaboration, all that good stuff.
Exactly. The career guide talks about the importance of building consensus, of finding common ground.
So it's not about bulldozing your way through, it's about bringing people along with you.
Exactly. And this is another opportunity to tell a story in the interview.
Oh, like a time when I had to wrangle a team of cats.
Laughs? Maybe. But seriously, think about a time when you had to work with a difficult team, a team with conflicting priorities.
And how did you help them achieve a shared goal?
Exactly. What were the challenges? What were your strategies? What was the outcome?
Okay, I'm getting the hang of this. Stories are key.
Stories are gold because they bring those skills and experiences to life.
All right, well, on that note, I think we need to take a quick break and let our listeners digest all of this amazing advice before we dive into the final part of the deep dive. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle the final stretch of these RoleCatcher questions. Because acing this interview, it's all about finishing strong, right?
Absolutely. You got to leave them with a good impression.
Right, so question 11. This one's interesting. Describe a situation where you had to communicate a complex issue to a non-technical audience. Because we talk about all this data and policy stuff,
Right.
but not everyone speaks that language.
Exactly. And you can't just like throw jargon at people and expect them to understand.
No, but they'll just tune you out.
Exactly. So you need to find a way to make it relatable.
Okay, so how do we do that? Like, give me an example.
Well, the career guide talks about using analogies.
Okay.
So like instead of talking about fiscal impact assessments, maybe you could talk about how a new business brings more money into the community.
Right, makes it more tangible.
Exactly, something that people can connect to in their own lives.
So it's about finding those bridges, right?
Right?
Between the technical world and the everyday world.
100%, yeah. And don't underestimate the power of visuals either.
Oh, like a good graph.
A graph, a map, an infographic, anything that can help people grasp those complex ideas more easily.
Because a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Exactly.
Okay, question 12. This one's important, I think. How do you manage stress and maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because this field, it's a lot, right?
Oh, it can be, definitely. Long hours, high stakes, a lot of responsibility.
So how do you not burn out? Like, seriously asking for a friend?
Well, first of all, you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody in this field struggled with.
Right.
And the interviewer knows that.
They've probably been there.
Exactly. So they're not looking for you to be like, oh, I never get stressed.
Right.
They want to know that you have healthy coping mechanisms.
So what are some of your go-tos? Like when you're feeling the pressure?
For me, exercise is huge. Getting outside, clearing my head.
Yeah. Fresh air does wonders.
It really does. And also setting boundaries.
Boundaries, okay.
Like, I don't check work emails after a certain time in the evening.
You got to shut it off.
You got to shut it off. Otherwise, it'll consume you.
Okay. That's good advice. Well, we have covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We really have.
Thank you for walking us through all these tricky interview questions.
Of course. Happy to help.
I think our listeners are going to be so much more prepared now.
I hope so.
So to all you aspiring regional development policy officers out there, go forth and conquer. Remember, leverage those RoleCatcher resources. Practice those answers. And most importantly, show them your passion for making a difference in the world. Until next time, happy prepping.